we also determined, okay, it gets a lot better in the summer. Or if they go to Mexico and take a vacation. And so that to me is two things, it's sunlight, vitamin D, it's also stress.
Yeah.
It's also maybe eating fresher foods.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just all these clues all around us. And instead we just, we're having a skin thing, so we go to the dermatologist and we get something on our scalp.
Hello and welcome to How We Are Healing, the podcast where real people share vulnerable stories and life-learned lessons. I'm Tristan, friendly yoga teacher and your host through the darkness towards healing, one conversation at a time. And now, on to the episode. This episode is for the birds, see? Hello and welcome to the How We Are Healing podcast. I am Tristan, and with me is Alyssa Williams-Sin, herbalist. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
So,
happy to be meeting in this park.
Oh, it's amazing, huh? Just fresh air, a nice breeze, and we are in the La Nina of Puerto Vallarta, which means that it's March and yet still like crispy, cool in the air, and it's nice.
It's ideal.
Yeah, normally by now in March I'm sweating, and so that hasn't really happened yet, so it's exciting for me just to be able to be outside and not be sweating. So
I know.
But yeah, right off the bat, what brought you to herbalism, and maybe what is herbalism?
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll talk about it. I feel like going through a bit of a transformation of all these modalities that I have studied around my life the past few years, but herbalism specifically, it's a healing modality, a holistic healing modality that focuses on an entire person. And the idea is that the body has this innate ability to rebalance itself naturally if you give it the right ingredients and the right environment. So, the right lifestyle, the right food, the right activities. And if there's some kind of intervention needed, and let's equate it to Western medicine of medication. Mm-hmm. The medication that an herbalist would use would be herbs. Yep. So, if you need a little extra boost of something, we look to basically plants that have certain qualities. Okay. So, cool. Yeah.
And then I remember when we first met, I was asking you, is it Ayurveda or TCM, traditional Chinese medicine? And I loved your response. Do you remember what you said?
Oh, I can't quite remember, but I feel that all of these traditions are herbalism in some form. So, yeah, the oldest form of herbalism is traditional Chinese medicine, or is it Ayurveda? You have to check me on that.
Yeah, but there's a huge debate about timing.
Yeah. So they're both, very ancient forms of herbalism, really. And then more recently, we have Western herbalism, and we also have Mexican herbalism as well, which is one of the oldest and largest traditions. Yeah.
Okay, because that's where the peyote would come in and right, things like that.
Yeah, okay. Or just a lot of native plants to Mexico. I think there's over 2,000 in their Materia Medica, which is basically just the list of medicinal herbs. So it's one of the biggest traditions. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. That's the thing about Ayurveda, because that comes out of India. I've always loved it, but it's we don't have those plants here on this continent. So it's well, what do you do? How do you kind of translate that over? Mm-hmm. It sounds like maybe you have more experience in that, right? More of the Western style?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What is your superhero origin story? The journey that brought you to herbalism, as well as a bit of your education?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think looking back now, I believe that I've had this in me since I was born. I believe in many lives. So I feel that it was just always this little seed inside of me. No pun intended. But my story here in this timeline, I had a very traditional path in the U.S. Western world. I went to university, studied business, and just was never really lit up by anything that I was pursuing for a career. um, I had a lot of passions. Like I always loved nature. I always was super fascinated by the body and by health and like by the environment and how we interact with it. But I sort of just shoved that down and was like, okay, gotta go to university, get the job, make the money. So I did that, um, and graduated, moved to Los Angeles. And I think that's what really spurred kind of this new phase in my life. I found meditation. I started to learn about kind of all these like energy modalities like Reiki and learning about Akashic records and all these kinds of ethereal things.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I learned, the more I felt this deep resistance in my day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was noticing my physical health like slowly starting to decline. And I feel like I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Like I was just so stressed and just feeling such low vitality. And I ended up quitting my job. Luckily, I made a lot of money in that job, so I didn't have to worry. And I just said, screw it, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to Mexico, which was a whole journey in itself. I went to Oaxaca,
Mm-hmm.
the coast of Oaxaca, and there I really started learning about plant medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and not in like the psychedelic way, but just in everyday life. And I started to work with some of these practitioners and see the power of all of these resources that are available around us. Mm-hmm. The way that we decide to live our life, the thoughts that we have, the food that we eat. And it completely transformed me and really showed me the power that I have over my own health, my own body. And I didn't really even know like what kind of modality that was, and it sort of felt like, I don't know, I felt a bit lost in all of it, like where's my focus. And I stumbled upon an herbalism school and started speaking to the teacher and just felt this like deep resonance with her and decided to do it just for myself. But then as soon as I was in the first class, I just felt like this is it. This is like all the things I love in one. And, it mixes the science with the art, with consciousness. And it's just, yeah, it felt like it embodied everything that I loved. So
Integrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the high level version of the story.
Okay. So you said that while you were in Oaxaca, you were meeting up with herbalists, essentially. Were they shamans? Could you use that word?
No, I wouldn't say that. I did do a plant medicine journey that was with a shaman, and that was with ayahuasca, and that really was a big shift for me, which I didn't really know at the time, but now looking back, actually, that was just a couple months before I left for Mexico, which completely changed my life. So
yeah,
that was definitely a big dose of plant medicine. But on a smaller scale, what I really saw was how the Mexican culture utilized herbs and natural medicine just as like a way of life.
Right.
And for us, it feels, this woo-woo thing and alternative medicine. And I was just seeing all of these people who have been, thriving just by following those traditions that their grandparents and their grandparents passed down. And so, it's very simple actually, and it doesn't require being a shaman or having that kind of lineage. It's more just coming back to like the roots of humanity, really.
Yeah. I can very much identify with your story because I also went that traditional Western route of, school, college. I also graduated with business, also worked in an office, made money enough to be like, like, this is it. I have to stop because same thing. I was recognizing the damage it was doing to my body and my soul, right? Yeah. So like the physical as well as the spiritual and emotional and energetic. So I don't think you're alone there. And I think not only what you're doing, but what I'm doing, what a lot of people who we know here are doing. It's the same kind of journey, right?
Mm.
Hey, little guy, look at this little puppy. This is now the second dog to bless the podcast. Yeah. Okay, very cool. So, how long were you working in offices for? I'm assuming it was an office.
Yeah. 9 years?
Same.
Yeah.
9, 10 years. Yeah. We gave it a fair shot. We really did. You can't say we didn't try.
Yeah. And actually, I went back after I went to Mexico and had that journey. I thought, I'm going to take everything I learned, and I'm going to go back into that world and with a different mindset, which I did, but very quickly realized it's still not for me.
Right.
It never was. And it's okay. It's okay. I could survive in that, but I realized clearly that it's not where I thrive. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone described it recently online. I saw some short video that was saying, offices are a lot like high school, where it's like there's cliques, there's popular people, and there's not popular people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't get ahead just based on merit. You get ahead based on how well you get along with whoever.
Yeah.
And then also sometimes someone quite higher up will just decide they don't like you, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh gosh, like I really resonated with that. And I found myself being like at different times, like with the popular group as well as not with the popular group. And it's like, I was the same person. It's just the people around that changed, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, no matter what you do, you're just put into this system.
Yeah.
And you just are trying your best to like float along and it will be what it is, and it will guide you wherever it wants to guide you versus wanting to have a little bit more control on the day-to-day, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that resonates with you too.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, and I don't want to be dramatic here, but there's almost a feeling of a culty vibe, and you kind of don't realize when you're in it. Now that I've stepped away, I sort of see, one of the places I was at, it was the best place to work, and just this culture of like, we're so lucky to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize, like, am I? Or have you just been telling me that? Because I basically grew up there. I was an intern, and then I started right after I graduated from university. So they sort of had their way with me, they molded me and made me think that this is the best it could ever be. So
did they ever say we're a family?
Oh yeah, so many times.
Did you ever have Bagel Wednesday?
I mean, we always had, there was always something. And don't even get me started on that. I'm like, you try to just, pump these seed oils, the sugar into me so that I don't have the energy to even think about what I want in my life.
Yeah, exactly. You said cult, and it's like, I resonate with that a lot. Like everyone where I was working would invite me out to the bars after work, and for a long time it was like, absolutely, I was an alcoholic and would drive home drunk a few times, like do all the bad things. And then I kind of had this like snap moment of like, wait a minute, I feel like crap when I do this. What am I doing? I don't want to do this. And then seeing the effect that had in the office, right, of being like, oh no, I don't drink, like, and it's like, that doesn't really fly in a cult. You can't just do things that are against the cult's habits, right? So
yeah, and that, to me, that when people kind of feel really defensive if you tell them you don't drink or you're not drinking that night, it definitely triggers that kind of, because I know I have been that person. It's like, oh, they don't want to drink, like, but really now looking back, I realize I deeply wished that I could have been that person that said no.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's growth though. That's real growth to have that, like, oh, that was on me. That's cool. That's really cool. And that's what it's all about though, right? So
yeah.
So why did you decide Mexico? Like you said, you went like right to Oaxaca. What drew you to Oaxaca?
So I had a wedding the previous year in 2020, and she was getting married in Oaxaca City and suggested going to Puerto Escondido before. And I had never heard of this place, and I was decided that I wanted to go, and I was pretty much at the peak of my burnout at that time.
I was in peak burnout.
Peak burnout.
Burning the candle from both ends.
Yes. Yeah. It was almost, there was a small flicker of a flame. And I got to Puerto Escondido, and I just put my feet in the sand. Like, I have chills thinking about it, because it was like, whoa. Like, there was just something in the energy there. And I started to have all these conversations and meet all these people, and it just, a feeling that you've been somewhere before,
Yeah.
or that you're going to be back and you just know it. And I decided on that trip, that's when I decided I was going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't planning to go back there. I was planning to go to Colombia to do some in-person Spanish classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I get back. It's January 2020, so March 2020 happens. Everything gets shut down. So I kind of put off my plans. And I mean, the pandemic was one of the best things to happen to me, because the second you took away the happy hours, the in-person meetings, the social things I didn't want to do, my body just completely changed. And it was crazy. I was like, whoa, this is insane. I'm living my best life where nobody's bothering me.
So your body changed for the better.
Yes.
In what ways? Was it an energy, or like the physical, like the look of it, like the strength, all of that?
Kind of all of it. Like I almost immediately lost 10 pounds. It was crazy. It was like I had been holding for so long. Mm-hmm. And then when I had space, I just, I didn't have to answer to anybody. Mm-hmm. I could just be in my space and really reflect. And so it was a crazy time. People were, boozing with their partners and things, and I was single and was doing the opposite. It was just like, wow, I get to eat how I want to eat. And I realized that so much of my life had been dictated by other people. Mm-hmm. And
we think it is, don't we? We let it happen, but
we let it happen.
It's because we don't know better. We are not taught that we can be a free thinker, especially nowadays. Everything is like, well, what does social media say about this? What does the Post say? What does the media say? What is the news telling me how to feel?
And the FOMO, or the culty vibe of the corporate stuff.
And I was there. Why were you there? Sales too. Yeah.
So it was very much, you have to take people out to dinner, and you have to spend the extra hours, or Christmas time was my least favorite time, because every customer I needed to take out to dinner or make them cookies, and I just was like, where's me in all this?
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably liked it. Like I look back to my time where I also had clients. I wasn't on the sales side, I was on the account management side, but it's similar. It's like reselling. You're reselling the company every year, so you're like, hey, come buy me. It's like you're putting on a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting on the mask of, I am this corporation.
Mm-hmm. And I love it so much until I get my next job. Then I love that company so much.
Exactly. But now I'm this family.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I kind of forgot about my plan. Just sort of was in this portal of the pandemic. And then I moved apartments. And when I moved, I was forced to move because they were selling my place. So I was forced to move. I moved into a new apartment, and I hated it. And it was it was super noisy. There was all this construction, and I just thought, what have I done? I just signed this lease, and I don't know what to do. My nervous system's going crazy. I just need to get away somewhere for a little bit. And right after I decided that, I was cleaning, and I found my Airbnb key from Puerto Escondido.
Oh.
And so I didn't even realize that I had it.
So you came back and snuck in, and a key worked. No.
So I was like, this is a sign. I have to go. And so I went there. Mm-hmm. I was planning to stay for maybe 4 weeks and just kind of decompress. And I essentially never came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you say you sold all your stuff?
I kept my apartment for a bit, and then once I decided, I don't want to go back. Yeah, came back. Sold a lot, put some stuff in storage, and then officially moved myself to Puerto Escondido.
And where was your apartment at the time? When what part of the country?
LA.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know how that place was affected by the fires recently?
Yeah, I lived on the west side of LA, so well, I guess it was bad on the west side, but I was in Venice Beach area, so everything's good.
Everything's good there, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's such a crazy story, the fires. It's like, oh my gosh.
I know. I can't believe that, because I recently came to Puerto Vallarta just in November officially, so I've just missed them, and that makes me feel weird. It's almost like, yeah. I don't know,
No, it's
just barely
divine.
missed it. Yeah.
Divine timing.
Mhm.
And so Oaxaca, and you loved it, but now why move? Why here? Why Vallarta?
Well, I came back to the US after spending 2 years in Escondido, again to, take another stab at the corporate thing. Um, and and at the time, I started to really focus on the things that once I realized that that wasn't going to be my path forever. That's actually when I found the herbalism school. So it kind of gave me this new vision of, oh, this could be a really great path to follow. I love it so much. And so I was doing that, and it was filling me up while I was in the corporate job. And then at the same time, I really felt ready for partnership,
Hmm.
which is, a whole other thing, but felt like it was finally time to allow somebody else into my bubble. My friends say I have a very strong bubble.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Mhm.
it can be a lot. So I ended up meeting somebody, and I think it was also divine because he was visiting LA. He's from the UK
Mhm.
and couldn't live in the US, and I was kind of nearing the end of my feeling that I wanted to stay,
Mhm.
and I really was feeling pulled back to Mexico, and it just kind of worked out that this place was good for both of us. So,
Yeah, very cool.
yeah.
Okay, so Oaxaca, Puerto Vallarta. What are you doing in Vallarta in terms of herbalism? Like, what are you offering people?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely birthing something new right now. So I'm kind of in, yeah, just duality right now. So I've been doing workshops here. Well, actually, just did the first one, but doing another one in a couple weeks. Um, and I love doing workshops because it's very much. I've never been to an herbalism workshop
Yeah,
before I was in school, and then in the herbalist community there is stuff, and herbalists go to it, but I don't see a lot out in the community to introduce people to herbalism
right,
because my goal with herbalism is to teach and share and plant seeds that people can then go and water themselves.
right,
Like, I really believe that this modality shouldn't be something where I have the knowledge, you come to me, I help you, and then you come to me again when you need more help.
right.
Like, it's something that everybody should have the foundation of knowing.
Mhm.
So I like to share on my Instagram, just be silly, but also like share herbalism things. But um, yeah, the workshops are just such an amazing way to sit with different teas.
Mhm.
I'll give an example. I just did astrology and herbalism with a wonderful woman that also lives here,
Mhm.
Emily, and she's an astrologer, and we looked at the dominant element in people's charts.
Mhm.
So for me, my dominant element is Earth, and um, we talked about what those mean, how they might show up as balance or imbalance. And then when we shifted to herbalism and we tasted 4 teas that were made with herbs that represent each of the 4 elements.
Mhm.
And teaching people how to sit with a cup of tea sounds so simple, but you probably, well, maybe you have, but most people have never sat with a tea and really smelled it and really felt what it feels like in the mouth, what it feels, the sensations are in the body,
Mhm.
if the energy's moving out or in, how it makes them feel emotionally, like any memories. And just sitting with it for 5 minutes, people were tuning in to what element it was. They were like, oh, I don't like this at all. And it turns out that that is, what they're super dominant in. They don't need any more of it. And it's just so interesting. Like, you're teaching people that their bodies have the ability to tell them what they need.
Right. Oh, I
Yeah.
love this. And this keeps coming up more and more, this concept of intuitive understanding of what you need in terms of eating or what you need in terms of entertainment or less entertainment or whatever it is. So that is super cool. And so what is the tea that is best for you and why?
Ooh, I feel that it shifts all the time. Like, I really do try to tune in every couple weeks
Mhm.
and then make a little blend intuitively. Also, as a woman, I feel like with cycle, it depends on that. But an herb that I love all the time. Well, my mind is. I want to say one, but then this one keeps coming out. So, eleuthero.
Luthro.
Eleuthero. It is an adaptogen.
Mhm.
It's also known as Siberian ginseng, even though it's not ginseng, it just has that name.
Mhm.
But it was used in the Russian space program to keep people focused, alert, and yeah, like vital.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for me, it's been a transformative herb because I was kind of in burnout round 2 near the end of my last corporate job. And this herb just, I don't know, it's masculine, but it's gentle.
Okay.
And adaptogens are amazing for like almost anybody in this day and age. And it just makes you more and more resilient.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that one at all times.
Okay. Pick apart adaptogen. Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So an adaptogen, in simple terms, is an herb that increases the capacity of your endocrine and your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So can almost think about it expanding your capacity for stress. So it makes you more resilient. It makes your body systems more resilient to stress, but it also strengthens that system so that you can kind of take more.
Okay.
And for somebody that's experiencing, that's coming out of a long period of stress, they're amazing because you can take them for a very long period of time, like, 3-6 months. And it's like a tonic, like it's just slowly strengthening your system over time.
Yeah.
And with adaptogens like that strengthening strengthens the immune system, it strengthens the nervous system, it makes your sleep better, makes your mood more stable, your focus better. So to me, those are like go-to herbs. Anybody I think can benefit from them.
Love it. Okay, so when you think adaptogen, think more adaptable, right? It makes you more adaptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then away from the herbs for a second, what is your opinion on coffee? It just came up, so I have to ask it.
Oh, well, interesting, because I just shifted. But I love coffee, and I feel like it gets this really bad rap. And I honestly felt like when I would meet somebody that didn't drink coffee, I felt that they were better than me. Like, really, that's how I felt. I was like, gosh,
it's like, stop
you're
bragging.
so disciplined. Like, how? But I did my research. Coffee has way more antioxidants than green tea. I think it has more than matcha. I don't quite remember, but it's very high in antioxidants. So it's a superfood. I think it depends on your tolerance for caffeine.
Right.
I decided to try decaf for a week, and I was like, oh, I have the same amount of energy, and I'm not anxious. So I've now made an official switch to decaf.
Me too. I have to do decaf. I ran out of my decaf espresso powder a few days ago and was trying to give up coffee. And I've tried to give up coffee many times, and I keep coming back to it because I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I enjoy it enough that I'm like, I don't feel negative when I have it at all because of decaf. And I know some people will say, oh, but decaf and it uses chemicals, and it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't care. Like, I just don't care anymore. I feel good when I have it. I like it. I like the taste. I like the ritual. I like the smell. And as for the antioxidants, coffee is the #1 source of antioxidants for the average American. Their highest source of antioxidants is coffee, typically.
Yeah.
On the average.
Also, if you get organic decaf, if you get organic decaf, they use a natural process to make it decaf, which I learned is just soaking it in water for 72 hours.
Yeah.
So
the water leaches the caffeine.
You don't need to have chemicals in your decaf.
Yeah.
There's lots of options.
Well, tell it to the manufacturers. It's like, come on, please stop.
I know.
But everything is about cost, right? It's like, well, it's cheaper for us to buy the chemical, and because it takes 20 minutes, and it's like, stop.
It's like, but water. It's just water.
We can wait. We'll wait. 72 hours. Work with us. What about? So let's go maybe back to herbs. So what is it called? Lutheran.
Wow, I love these of Lutheran. It's a very religious herb. Eleuthero.
Eleuthero. Yeah. Okay. So eleuthero was up there, but you said that you had another herb or another tea in your head that you were working with, right?
Yeah. It's my favorite because everyone has it. And it's chamomile.
I love chamomile.
I feel that people use it just because it's, well, to me, it was always just the most basic thing. You know, every restaurant, every wherever, it will have chamomile tea. And then when I really started to learn about chamomile and buy fresh chamomile, it has so many benefits, and it's just such an amazing herb.
The calming effect, it is so palpable. Yeah.
Yeah. And so to me, that's my other favorite because you can have it any time of day. It will benefit you. It nourishes, it relaxes, and it tastes great on its own. Like there's few herbs that I don't mix with something else, and chamomile's one of them.
Okay. You can have it straight up. You don't need to mix it with any.
Straight up.
Is there a mixing herb, like an herb that you typically add to other ones, and why?
Yeah, licorice root, which licorice is not made with the herb licorice. Licorice candy is made with fennel. So because every time I say licorice, people are like, oh, I hate licorice. Like, it's not the same. It's super sweet. In Chinese medicine, it's called the harmonizer or the balancer because it's a little bit of it is added to like almost every blend to sort of, just kind of
round it out.
Harmonizer.
Yeah, I think I have some of it, and I got it because I heard it was really good for your lungs. Is that,
it's a very moistening herb, so it kind of soothes. It can soothe the lungs. It can soothe the stomach. It lowers blood pressure, which may or may not be good for people, but and it is also an adaptogen, which it's kind of a lesser known adaptogen, and it tastes super sweet because it has that same thing as Splenda, you know, the plant sweetness, but it's has a way higher like sweet taste. So literally, and I love sweets. So I will usually put some, like eleuthero and licorice is kind of my go-to blend. So yeah, that's a great one. And you can buy it in a powder as well. So you can just kind of put it at the end, you know, and just kind of put it in anything.
Yeah. Okay, so that one is an herb that you recommend mixing with other herbs because it rounds it out. Any other like that? Any others like that, or?
I think it really depends on the blend and the person.
Yeah.
I like to not mix more than 3 herbs. You know, 1 to 3 I think is kind of the sweet spot because you really want to hone in on the ones that are most impactful for you at that time.
Right.
And many herbs have the same actions, so they do the same things. So it's more about finding that one that has like the most actions that you want, and maybe you need to balance it with one other thing,
right?
And like what tastes and feels good for you. Yeah.
Interesting. Are there any herbal don't do's? Things you learned in herbalism school, like never do this.
Well, I think something important to remember is that you don't want to be taking medicinal things. I mean, there's a lot. For example, chamomile, I mean, you could probably take that every day for your whole life and it's still mild. But if you're using a tea for a specific reason or a supplement, even like vitamins, you want to do it for a period of time, like 3 months, 6 months max, because you also don't want your body to stop doing that thing by itself.
Interesting.
Like I think we can become really reliant. You know, we say, "Oh, I don't take chemical medications," but then you're doing, you know, you haven't figured out how to get your body to adapt to stress on its own in 3 years.
Right.
Like, okay, maybe take a break from the adaptogens and figure out what you need to change in your life.
Yeah.
And if you really can't change it, then okay, it's a Band-Aid. But you know, even with herbal medicine, it's important to remember, like, I have to get my body back to its own ability to do this thing.
That makes total sense to me as like a lifetime Burt's Bees chapstick user who, when I finally stopped that habit, was like, why can my lips never produce their own moisture?
Yeah.
And it's like my body had to educate itself on how to do that
Yeah.
after kicking that habit finally. Okay, interesting. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
It's peppermint too. It's so good.
I
So
know.
good.
I know.
Okay. Other herbs that you would recommend? Oh, like, or maybe another way to ask that question is, what is the number one challenge people come to you with looking for an herbal answer, and what is that herbal answer typically?
Um, Stress and um, immune system.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I feel that the number one thing tends to be some form of uh, stress, be it anxiety, be it insomnia. Um, I'm seeing, maybe it's just the person that I attract, but I see a lot more like anxiety versus depression. So, like that heightened feeling versus the numb, kind of more um,
Depressed feeling.
depressed
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
And therefore, people are getting sick a lot and they feel like, yeah, they kind of can't keep their head above water. And plot twist, I feel like the answer is not herbs.
Interesting. No, I love that. I love
Yeah.
I love when someone is a thing, whatever noun you want to put in there, and they're like, actually don't. Because
Yeah.
like I recommend meditation a lot, but like if you're schizophrenic, that's the last thing you want to do. Or if you know there's like fight, flight, freeze, and fawn.
Mhm.
If you're in freeze, you don't want more freeze. It's like you need the opposite energy to balance. So
Yeah.
okay, cool. So you're saying for anxiety, herbs is not it? Is that what you're saying?
So for all those things, there are amazing herbs.
Yeah.
And like I have two clients recently that I worked with, and one I felt that they were at this point where they were kind of doing all the other right things, and an herbal blend was going to be that final thing to kind of take them over the edge and just give them that little boost to maybe get into a new state of being, with no insomnia, with less anxiety, just to get the body used to feeling that way. And in that case, it was this beautiful blend of a sleep herb that has an affinity towards the mind. So if you have a really racing mind, there's an herb called passion flower. It's you can get it locally here in Mexico, but in the U.S. also very available.
Mhm.
And it's specific for insomnia with racing thoughts. So I used it. I had insomnia for about, and I included that. I included some adaptogens and then some energetic. I included rose because we were sort of talking about bringing more mothering nature. And so I usually put something in there that is kind of a more spirit plant as well. Then, different client comes to me asking specifically about herbs for immunity and stress and energy. And it was 5 minutes in, we realized that they're eating no protein, not eating 3 meals a day, not drinking water, and there is no herb that I can give that will replace the nourishment that we need as a foundation to, surviving as humans. So I literally, it ended with, here's amazing protein powder, here's a protocol for how many grams of protein, and let's try to find ways to incorporate these. Creating a sleep hygiene routine.
Yeah.
So we literally didn't even talk about herbs. And maybe in 3 months, I'll give her an adaptogen blend, but
Right.
yeah.
So that is such an amazing example of the benefits of an integrative approach to healthcare that you really can't find in a hospital often, unless you have an amazing doctor that is like just very much out of that system, like, and I love that. I love that story. What's the weirdest thing you've had or helped a client heal?
Many symptoms that people come with, I have noticed, go back to the gut and nutrition, and also are very deep in the history of a human. So,
Oh, you mean childhood?
yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe don't eat those chicken nuggies. right? Really?
Right.
No, my gosh, yeah.
Or people, especially women, I think there was this phase where we all like didn't, we all took birth control, for example, or um, yeah, we did weird things to suppress our cycles. And now we're just dealing with the repercussions of that, and nobody thinks about that. Um, I think another interesting one is the same person had psoriasis, right? So like skin issues, and I started just asking all kinds of questions about when it gets better, when it gets worse, and they had only tried topical things. Everything was topical except for antifungal pills. Just things that were very harsh, and we also determined, okay, it gets a lot better in the summer, or if they go to Mexico and take a vacation.
Oh.
And so that to me is two things, it's sunlight, vitamin D, it's also stress.
Yeah.
It's also maybe eating fresher foods.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just all these clues all around us. And instead we just, oh, we're having a skin thing, so we go to the dermatologist and we get something on our scalp.
And we take a pill or we put a cream on or
Yeah.
eat the cream.
I know. I mean, it's just so interesting. It's very Nancy Drew, it's very investigative. And I love that. I love asking questions and just linking two seemingly disparate things together. And then people have that light bulb moment like, oh, well, this has been a pattern for 6 years and I never once thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where you have to ask someone else how the outfit looks on you because the other perspective is needed. It's like even standing in front of a mirror, you're seeing yourself in the mirror. So it's like opposite. So it's like you need that outside perspective because that's the only way you're going to get that information.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why we recommend reaching out to people, get help, because you can find out the answer on your own, I'm sure, but how long is that going to take?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Versus reaching out and have a quick conversation. Well, not quick, but half-hour conversation, and then boom, you've got an outside perspective that you're not going to get otherwise. So
it's like having a mentor or a coach, or I do think we all kind of need those resources in our life.
Somebody on our side, somebody on our team. Okay. Let's transition and talk about your daily habits or your weekly kind of habits, your non-negotiables to keep yourself, your cup filled.
Well, I'm currently today was 71 days straight of meditation in the morning. So pretty proud of myself for that.
That's awesome. What's your meditation protocol? App, no app, guided? Mm-hmm. Cool.
It changes a lot. Right now, I'm actually doing a alpha brainwave meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. I kind of latched onto that from the telepathy tapes, the podcast. Everyone needs to listen to it. But one of the messages in that was that humans exist best at an alpha brainwave state because it combines being here in the material world with a connection to consciousness.
Right.
So I was like, yes, I must do this. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I started doing a practice in the morning of writing down something that I'm deeply grateful for. Then the most important thing I have to do that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
not 50?
Not 50. One.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is, how do I want people to perceive me today?
Ooh, that's so interesting. I love that. Yeah. It was Ben Franklin who would diary every day on how did today go and how could it have gone better. Mm-hmm. And it was around that topic of interactions with others because that's why we're here. We need these interactions. Other people are a mirror to us, so we need those mirrors to show us how we are and how we're doing. So I think that's so cool. Is there a pattern to what you've been recognizing in yourself that you've seen?
Ooh. I'm deeply grateful for life right now. Yeah. That's exciting to really feel that. And I am a to-do list person for sure. I'm a Virgo, so I love everything to be in a list checked off. And writing down the one most important thing is so relieving.
Mm.
And you really realize, if you only have to choose one thing, you realize there's actually not that much that's important today. So
It takes the pressure off.
yeah, it really takes the pressure off. And I actually stole this from somebody, a different podcast, which hopefully I'll remember the name of, because I want to give them credit. I know it was a man, but it just resonated. And as a busy person or, type A person, having that one thing, has been such a game changer.
Right.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett once said, write down a list of 25 things you want to accomplish in the year and then cross out the bottom 20. Because it's true, is it not? Like,
so true.
If you have these big goals, the more goals you have, the more unfocused you're going to be.
Exactly.
And that it's just not going to happen. He might have even said only focus on the top 3, something like that, right? So it's like very, very few, 3 to 5 in a year, big goals. And I really resonated with that. So it's like, let's work on one.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like thinking about my vision board for the year right now. And I'm just like, there's so many things on there.
Have you done vision boards before?
Focus on 3.
Have you done vision boards before?
Yeah.
Cool.
I like to make them my phone background.
Yeah, my friend Taryn does that too. Yeah, very cool. Okay, cool. Nice. Other daily things that are like non-negotiable for you?
Non-negotiable. I just really feel like I need alone time. And I think that I just need, like, I'm definitely lean more towards needing more time alone than like time with connection. And now being in a partnership and, having all this time together, and it's amazing, but it's so important for me to have that time. Like, I realize when I don't have it and then I sit down to journal or something, I just feel so good after. And I realize, I haven't done this in 3 days. I think just like introspection every day. And right now, like eating 3 meals a day.
Okay. So what would we before? Was it like 5 meals a day or like 1 meal a day,
Yeah, well, it just wasn't consistent. And something I've learned, the most important thing because I just made a big transition moving here and all these big changes. And in that time is not the time to cut back or be really like disciplined and, you're not trying to do everything at once. I need to nourish myself so that so I can feel safe. And for me, that means like consistent meal times, like your body can rely on something.
Right.
I think I'm now getting to the point where I'm like, I could, dabble in like an intermittent fasting or something. But no, I was always the person that would like wake up and drink coffee and then eat at like 11 a.m. And now I'm like 9 a.m. I'm going to eat my breakfast.
Yep.
And it's going to feel good.
Cool.
So that's a big thing for me right now.
Is it more listening to your body, would you say? Or like you're tuning more into its natural rhythms?
Yeah, I mean, I realize like I'm hungry in the mornings, and I used to just feel like breakfast. I don't know. There was this phase of like intermittent fasting where everybody was doing it, or like you just felt like everyone's like, oh, if you eat breakfast, you're gonna be tired all day, or I don't know. It was just weird, and so now I feel like eating within 2 hours of waking up. At first, I thought it was weird, and now I wake up and I'm hungry, and I feel like my body is asking for nourishment all day, and it's nice to give it to. Give it,
Well, especially in this environment, like there's a lot of energy here, and it's like a lot of wind, a lot of movement, so it's like taking out from you. It's like you need to put it back in.
Yeah. That's
cool. Is there a particular diet you prescribe to for yourself?
For myself, I have just really been trying to eliminate just processed food. And I really have. Since this year, I've cut out alcohol, but probably going to reincorporate a little bit because I do love a craft beer and a frozen margarita. But just to get myself back to this kind of foundation with my nervous system after the move, that's been really good. And just whole foods, like nothing out of a package.
Yep.
And even like the things I love from a package, crackers, I make them now. So I make the things that I want and I can see the whole food going into them. And yeah, that works for me.
Cool.
I think I'm still working on the sugar.
I
That's a hard one
mean,
for me.
that's like actually something that I refuse to work on. I'm like, no, I will have sugar. I will absolutely have it every day, and I don't care.
Yeah, like I love chocolate. I do eat
Yes.
chocolate every day.
Yeah.
But I get local chocolate here in like 80%
Yeah.
at a minimum, and I'm like, this is nourishing me.
No,
This
totally.
is nourishing my soul.
Great for the heart chakra.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. What about drinks? Are you like tea girl all day? Tea, coffee?
Coffee, and then I have a tea before bed. So I have teas during the day if I'm really going through it, like if I really need some support.
Mhm.
But I also herbal remedies that I love, tinctures. So those are like little droplets. And basically what that is just an herb distilled in either glycerin or alcohol
Mhm.
to just extract all the components from the herb. And that's an amazing one for like emotional doses. So I have a chamomile one that I made myself. And like from having a really stressful day, sometimes I just take it and I just drop a couple on my tongue and I just take a deep breath.
Let the chamomile do its thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have some like that throughout the day sometimes. But yeah, I'm a water electrolyte girly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, all day, every
How
day.
do you make your electrolyte drink?
I use trace minerals, like 40,000 volts, which you can buy. It's called 40,000 volts. You can buy it online,
Okay.
or you can get any kind of trace mineral, and it's just pure minerals. So
Which minerals? Like, this is a new concept to me. I've never heard of this.
yeah, magnesium, sodium, potassium. Some of them have like, what is it? Yeah, the trace ones are long names that are like, the micro minerals.
Right.
But those are the things that get taken out of our water, especially here in Mexico, because we drink, very filtered water. So it doesn't have any of those minerals in it.
Right.
And we don't really get much of that from food. We'd have to eat a lot of those mineral-rich foods, which we don't have enough. So
Right. Okay. And then what does that do, adding that to water? What does it do to the look of the water, the taste?
it doesn't do anything to the look. It's clear, and it gives it like a little saltiness. To me, it kind of gives it like a little bit of viscosity.
Oh, interesting. It's thicker.
It's a little thicker, but I really like it.
She a thick water.
Yeah.
She got some back.
She's
okay.
got some stuff going on. She's
Dancing.
nourishing you.
She's nourishing you. I love it. I like also the word water in Spanish because it's el agua, masculine, but if it's multiple, it's las aguas. It's multiple, and that's the only noun that I know of that does that switches genders based on whether it's one or many.
I never knew that. Probably because I've never said the waters.
I know, right?
But I love that.
Yeah, Spanish is awesome.
Yeah.
What is your approach to learning the Spanish language? Do you know the Spanish language? Are you learning? Is it?
Yeah, I started learning in 2020 and online, and then when I went to Mexico, I started learning in person. Kind of plateaued. I need to take it to the next level now because I'm sort of at that 70% where it's like I can kind of do everything I want to, but I can't express all the things I want to express or be like good friends with somebody that only speaks Spanish, which I would, I just did a free diving course that was all in Spanish. And there were so many times when I wanted to like have these, deep life conversations with the instructor, and I just couldn't get there. So I was just like, this is cool.
Yeah. Where did you do the course?
I did it here
Are there good spots to dive here?
Well, we went to Mismaloya to do the free dives.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
is there coral there, or more about the
No,
wildlife?
it's more so that was about learning how to free dive.
Got it.
So
Okay.
just, practicing going down the rope and holding your breath and all that kind of stuff. So my goal is to do like fun free dives, by the Los Arcos and, just be down there with the fish. Nothing too intense. So
Nice.
we'll see.
I've got some friends who are into spearfishing who do a lot of free diving,
Yeah.
so I'll introduce you
Yeah.
when she's down here next. So
Yeah, I would love that.
okay, cool. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you're like that you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do people get in touch with you, work with you?
Yeah, so I am. I'm working with people one-on-one. So if there's anything specific um, that you want to work on, I work a lot with like hormone balancing, energy, immune system, nervous system, and ultimately the goal is to kind of be a coach and help, get to a place like any coach. You want to get to a place where then you're empowered to go and figure these things out for yourself. So that's one way to work with me in kind of the one-to-one relationship. Find me on Instagram to just learn ad hoc the things that I share. And that's where I'll announce workshops if you're in this area, Puerto Vallarta.
What's your Instagram?
It's The Balanced Herbalist.
The Balanced Herbalist.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And lastly, I am about to launch kind of a second arm of my business. So I'm going to be offering a wellness package for companies. Because we didn't talk about it, but in my life, I also was certified as a career coach and did career and like life coaching for a while. I like to say just career because life coaching sounds weird, but I mean, yeah.
How do I live? No.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also taught meditation. So I'm combining all those things to do an offering. So like, it probably is a great fit for like a startup or, a small scale company that wants to offer wellness to their employees.
Very cool.
So yeah, those are my 3 things that I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that launch. That's going to go awesome. So excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation, for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for all your questions.
Of course.
Great talking to you.
Yeah, it's been fun, huh? And in this lovely park.
I know. The wind.
I know. So it's nourishing. Well, thank you for tuning into the How We Are Healing podcast. As always, make sure you're taking care of yourself first so that you can then help take care of others. Namaste.
Yay!
We did it!
Hello, I'm Tristan. I was just like you. I wanted to become a yoga teacher. I noticed all the positive changes it brought to my life. I didn't want to have to travel, though, to do a yoga teacher training and all that goes along with that, right? Being put in a room with a bunch of strangers. What if I had to use the bathroom and I have to miss part of the lecture and dealing with that awkwardness? I also didn't want to have to spend a fortune, and let's be real, yoga teacher trainings can be very expensive. Lastly, I wanted to be able to start teaching yoga right away because, if I'm honest, I felt ready before I was even certified. It's just what happens when you find something that really speaks to your soul and when you have that focus and when you have that discipline. For me, the program I wanted didn't exist. But now it does. I created it. I created the yoga teacher training that I dreamed of. It's a course that's affordable at just $99 a month. You can even finish everything within the first 30 days if you're super dedicated. But there's no pressure. Go at your own pace. It's there. Because of this also, you can start earning money right away. I give you the tools you need so that you can start earning. That means the course immediately starts paying for itself. Just in case that's not enough, there is also a 30-day money-back guarantee. I wanted to make it so that you have nothing to lose, an entire lifetime of yoga knowledge to gain. So what are you waiting for? Get started today. Go to shantiyogaschool.com to access the course now. That's SHANTI, yogaschool.com. Hey, it's Tristan again. Thanks for tuning in to How We Are Healing. I hope you found it meaningful. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving a review or sending this episode to friends and family. Until next time, Omis, keep shining.